Hello. So you guys all doing startups, yeah?
Yes.
Is that right? That's great. Well, it's a pleasure to be here. It's the only game in town, isn't it? I mean, it's either that or be part of some big, horrible organisation. So, best thing I ever did was start an agency, and the worst thing I ever did was sell it. So I'm here. I've got 3 startups that I'm doing at the minute. The one I'm here to talk to you about today is called Decoded, which teaches code in a day. How many of you can code? How many of you can create websites and apps? Okay, that's about true of the industry generally, or wherever I ask that question. Now, I started off, my background is marketing, so I aimed Decoded at the marketing industry, but since then people have come from all sorts of different industries. And no matter what area you're in, I hope you'll find this interesting because I think it is very relevant to everybody. I'm going to start off asking the question, what's the secret of a successful startup? You probably all got your own answers to that. There are a lot of different answers to that. Somebody said something to me the other day, which was this, which is being in the right place at the right time. That's a very modest thing to say, I think. So if once your startup is very successful, you can say, that's all it was being in the right place at the right time, which ignores all the sleepless nights and hard work and sheer guts involved. I was in the right place at the right time to ask a question, which I've described here as a conundrum. So I was in the marketing industry. It struck me that the internet was the best tool ever invented for commerce, for creativity, for communications. But how many people in marketing can make stuff on it? Well, it's the same as the people who just answered here. It's about 2%. So about 2% of people in marketing can make stuff on this incredible tool that we've now got. So that struck me as one reason why the marketing industry isn't working very well. And the marketing industry is working spectacularly badly at the minute. It's working spectacularly badly. This is one of the reasons for it. And it's also a reason why there's a lot of stress around, because one of the most stressful things you can do is pretend to know something about something when you don't know anything about it at all. And the advertising and marketing industry is full of people pretending to understand digital when they don't. So there's a lot of stress around. That's why we thought Decoded, digital enlightenment, code in one day. Why we thought it was a good idea and how it came about. Well, I've told you why we thought it was a good idea. Because so few people knew how to build this stuff. How it came about, I was having a drink with a friend one evening. I don't know how any of you guys came up with your idea. I mean, to me, I think I'm not bad at coming up with ideas. I'm terrible at making them happen. So I was lucky that I was having a drink that evening with someone, a friend of mine called Catherine Parsons. And I said, look, people should be able to write code. People should know how to write stuff on the internet's the most democratizing tool ever, the most amazing tool. How come so few people can create on it? We ought to teach people. And she said, let's do it. And she brought in 2 other people. One was from a developing background, one not. I am not a techie. Let's get this absolutely clear. And Decoded is aimed not at techies, right? This is for everybody. One thing I hate is being excluded from anything. If people try and keep me out of something, I want to go in there. So we said, well, we've got to teach people how to use this thing. Can we do that? That was the first question. Can we do it? Because we didn't know anything about it. Can we teach people this? So we talked around. We got these 2 other people in, one from a design background. And we said, if we're going to teach people code in the marketing industry, and I think it's true anyway, we have to do it in a day because nobody has any time at all. The marketing industry is incredibly time poor. I'm sure all you guys are very, very time poor. So we said, okay, we've got to do it so we teach people code, how to make stuff on the internet in a day. And it took us 8 months. 8 months working out what we needed to tell people, what order we needed to tell people, how we could tell people what worked, what didn't work. And after 8 months, we had something we could take into test, which we did, and it's code in a day. And it works like there's 10 people come in, 2 trainers. It's face-to-face. I know there's a lot of online training in this area. Most people give up after 4 or 5 lessons online because this is not easy, okay? So our insight was, if we're going to teach people, we have to really hold people's hands. We have to make sure they get it. We make sure they go the whole way. We draw the analogy of like climbing a mountain. This is taking people up to the top of a mountain. So it's 10 people and 2 trainers because we don't want anybody to be left behind, right? There's so much anxiety in this area. There's so much stress, so much fear. There's actually a lot of resentment. An awful lot of people in industry feel like they joined one industry and then it changed. It's like I challenge you to a game of tennis and then on the day I say, no, actually it's not tennis, it's golf. It feels like that to a lot of people. It's like this whole, everything's changed. So there's fear, there's anxiety, there's resentment. So what do we teach people in a day? Story of the web. We start off with a very basic thing, which is we take people through the history of the web. And that's partly about like a gentle intro to it, but it's also, the point is it makes it human. It gives you narratives, it gives you personalities, it gets you engaged in the story of it. Instead of me just going, right, JavaScript, right, here we go. You go, oh, right? We take you through it. We give you the individuals, the human side of it. After we do that, we give you an introduction to the 3 web languages that we think you need, okay? HTML5, CSS, and JavaScript. Now, you probably think at this stage, 3 languages, that's a lot, that's difficult, right? HTML5 is basically just the content, the words and the pictures that go in. CSS is how you design it, so it's the font size, yeah? And JavaScript is how you animate it. So it's not as complicated. It is complicated and it's not complicated, that's the point. Our point is that we can teach people this and we do. So far, I think we've taken 400 people through this. Everybody has given us 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5. Everybody gets it, no one gets left behind. And in the afternoon, we sit people down with MacBooks and they put it into practice. And everybody gets to make a multi-platform app with geolocation. Everybody goes home with a balloon. Now, everybody, most of the people who come are really nervous about the bit in the afternoon. They're like, yeah, I can do the theory. Yeah, if I have to, I can do that. It's the hands-on bit that people get nervous about. At the end of the day, we finish about 5:30. We put beers out. We put a glass of wine out. I'm not kidding. Half the people there, we can't get them to drink the beer or the wine because they're on the computer having so much fun. Do you remember what it was like when you first got into computers and you thought, my God, this is amazing? And then something happened. You got kind of excluded. You got left out of it somehow, or most people did, yeah? We want to get that excitement back and that sense of power back. So, what's our philosophy? Every startup, every business should have a philosophy, by which I mean a kind of reason to exist. So this is in 3 statements. Every industry has been transformed in some way or another by code. Programming sits at the heart of every digital product. Code, by the way, is just instructions to a computer. But few people understand code, as we've established at the beginning of this. Maybe 2 or 3% people understand code. But, 2, the principles of programming are not complex. We can all understand them. This is the point. An understanding of these building blocks of digital is essential to the current economy. Point 3, we don't all need to be professional software developers, but we think everybody needs to understand the nuts and bolts of digital production. This understanding means you can manage digital teams, means you can manage projects. So when you're briefing a website, when you're briefing an app, yeah, you'll know what you're talking about. Hold meaningful, knowledgeable conversations around digital topics. And I hate this bit of jargon, realize the art of possible in an increasingly digital workplace. You know what I mean by that. I'm sorry, it's jargon, but you know what I mean by that. So that's our philosophy. Mark Zuckerberg put it a lot simpler and a lot quicker. Well, if you work in a creative industry, he did anyway. So what he said, the day of the IPO at Facebook, he sent an email to everybody in the company. He said, this is a creative company. He said, I want people to bring ideas to meetings. He said, but I don't want you to bring them in your head or on a bit of paper. I want you to bring them, prototype them, make them. Because as he said, code wins arguments. And those of you who are in the creative business, in a creative industry, know this, right? That if you make something, it's a lot easier to sell it. I've found in advertising, I've worked a long time in advertising, if I go in and present an idea in my head, client can kill it in a minute because they think that's how long it's taken me to come up with it, a minute. So we'll kill it in a minute. If I type it, they think, well, it's probably taken them 10 minutes to type it. We'll take 10 minutes and then we'll kill it, yeah? If you make it, if you prototype it, they go, I don't know how the fuck you made that. Great, let's treat it with respect. Now, it might be a lot worse idea. It could be a lot worse idea than the first idea, but it gets treated with a lot more respect. So in the creative industry, I think that's where I started from, was actually, could I teach creatives in advertising this skill? Code underlines our world, and it's the creative language of the future. I think it's the commercial language of the future. I think it's like incredibly important. So why wouldn't you learn it? We do it in a day. Okay, this is me going to... You guys have all got startups, so you know what it's like. You go into sales mode, don't you? You go into sales mode with your family, with your friends, with people you bump into at a bus stop. You've got your idea, you're selling, okay? So this is me selling to you now. Why wouldn't you learn it? We do it in a day. It's reasonably priced. No one gets left behind. It's non-competitive. Probably, you might have some nagging doubt, which I call the myth of the underpants. And you might be thinking, well, coding isn't for me, right? Coding is the preserve of someone who's 15 years old in Wisconsin, in a basement, hacking into the Pentagon, wearing their underpants, yeah? Now, you might be thinking to yourself, Wisconsin, techno music, underpants, not me. I don't know what is you. Maybe Wandsworth Common, Volvo Estate, glass of Sauvignon is you. Whatever it is, you're thinking, not sure about the Wisconsin underpants scenario. That's a myth. That's the point. That myth is put out there by people who have this knowledge, and they want to make it seem like it's difficult. They want to make it seem like it's possible. They want to make you believe it's going to take you 3 years to learn this. So that's the myth of the underpants. Very early on, a lady called Rebecca Jones, who was head of marketing at BBC Worldwide, and I were emailing each other about this. And Rebecca got it straight away what I was trying to do with this company. She said, I love it because it's been developed to address the issue. Increasingly, people are interacting with digital projects, even signing off huge budgets with no real knowledge of how things work. I mean, I have an image of the marketing industry at the minute as a series of meetings in which people who don't really know what they're doing present stuff they don't understand to other people who don't know what's going on, right? But money's getting transferred across at various points. People are signing checks, but nobody really knows what's going on. And no wonder it's so stressful. No wonder people are stressing out. So what Rebecca carried on saying, what's needed is an approach about understanding the basics of digital. So what we don't teach you whatever's skimming along the surface of the internet this month, because it might be dead next month. We go down to the building blocks of the whole thing. And building people's confidence is crucial. As I say, there's so much stress around. And Rebecca said, lots of people now get the opportunity, they recognize that they need to understand this, but they don't. But it's about understanding how to do it and not get ripped off or befuddled in the process. We're the only people in the world doing this at the minute. And that's how we came across, we came across the radar of this guy, Eric Schmidt. Eric Schmidt, you guys will know from Google, he gave the McTaggart lecture last year, and he said the same thing as what we're saying. He said, this country has a digital heritage that's incredible. It has a creative heritage that's incredible. We're in danger of losing it if we don't teach coding, if people don't get coding. So they teach coding in schools in India, okay? They don't teach it here. Now, I look at that and I go, well, 10 years' time, 5 years' time, it's game over, right? Because this is the creative language of the future. So Eric Schmidt gave us a nice write-up. He said, there's the Observer, a piece he wrote in the Observer, said an innovative startup called Decoded is offering workshops teaching business people and students the basics of coding in just one day. We send out questionnaires to people before they come, to get a sense of what they understand, what they don't understand, what they want to get out of it. So the guy who runs TBWA, which is a huge agency network in Asia, so he runs it for all of Asia, he's based in Singapore. He came over, as I say, we're the only people in the world doing it, so he flew over from Singapore to do it. And we ask a series of questions on the pre-registration questionnaire. We said, why is digital important to you? His answer, I thought, was good. Clients and consumers are demanding a greater level of knowledge and leadership in the digital field. I think that's bang on. We asked lots of other questions. We asked, can you code? 95% of people who come on the course, probably more than that, say no. As I say, this isn't for techies. This is for everybody. This is for normal people, right? Interest in code. I think that's why I put that slide up there, right? Because we give you the option of having an interest in code out of 5. 1 out of 5, 2 out of 5, 3 out of 5, 4. You can't put 0. You have to put 1's the lowest you can put. He put 1, right? So he's flying over from Singapore, although his interest in code is as low as you can get, right? Now, so we don't want you to come. Well, of course you can come. You're welcome to come if you've got a subscription to the blog on GitHub, yeah? That's fine. That's great. But the people we're really talking to are the people who actually want to get into this and want to understand it so they can have intelligent conversations. That's who we're talking to. So if you go on our website, decoded.co, you'll see a million testimonials. Not a million. You'll see about, 100 testimonials. seriously, we get fantastic testimonials. There's a sense of relief at the end, there's a sense of empowerment at the end. People go, God, you've actually made me feel like I can do my job again. This is from a female agency business director at Publicis in London. Said it was the best training day I've ever been on, will have a lifelong impact on how I feel about the web. In exchange for 8 hours of my time, I walked out of Decoded feeling 100 times more able to engage with clients on technical and complex digital discussions than I did when I walked in. So we're at that stage. We soft launched in September last year. We're now bringing in some new products. So Code in a Day is our core product. We're also bringing in something called Culture Shift, which is for bigger companies. I mean, not relevant today to startups. Companies of 100 plus, we're saying, well, we'll do it in larger numbers. It won't be so hands-on. But if you want to transform a company, that's why we call it Culture Shift, because you're shifting the whole culture of the company, hopefully. In a day, we can do numbers of 30 or 50. Decoded 1 is the opposite extreme. That's for chief execs. What we found is a lot of chief execs are interested in this. And they're interested in this because they really don't get it. They really don't understand it, right? And they're really scared of coming along in a group of 10 from their company, because then the rest of the company can see how little they know about this, right? And I'm not in that business of creating anxiety. I want to try and take anxiety away. So we set up this thing which is one-on-ones. We say, well, look, come along, by yourself, one-on-one. We'll do it in 1 hour chunks, as many as you like, yeah? Slash Coder is a more ambitious thing that we haven't got yet. We'll probably be ready in October. And that is going to be a 10-week course, part-time, Tuesday evening, Thursday evening, maybe Saturday morning, and homework in between. And that will teach full developer skills, front end, back end. That'll teach full developer skills. And the idea is no matter what job you're in now, you'll be able to call yourself slash coder. So you're film director slash coder. You're an analyst slash coder. You're a teacher slash coder, right? And we've already had an awful lot of interest in that, and it won't be ready till October, September, October. An incubator is a 3-day version of what we do, which is we sit down with people and we say, right, we'll teach you the basics of code in 1 day. Second day, we'll sit you down with a developer, and you develop whatever it is. So if you've got a new business idea, you develop that. If you're trying to crack a brief and you're an advertising agency or a marketing company, we'll crack that. We'll help you crack that brief in the second day, and we'll build it. It's like a hack day. But instead of a hack day where you just brief the developer and then go out to the pub and leave them to it, this is a hack day in which you develop with the developer. And at the end of 3 days, you've got something. And we're interested in doing that with startups, actually, because we think it's a really interesting model where people come in. The first day, they learn code. Second day, they start building their website. Third day, you bring in VCs. And you say, should this run? Should this go? Right? And it's very fast. I think that starts getting really interesting. Some new initiatives. I was in talking to O2 this morning. O2, we've partnered with O2. Our current model is teaching people face-to-face because we think that works. O2 have got this thing called O2 Learn. They want us to teach 100,000 kids online. So we've agreed, OK, we're going to do that. We don't know how we're going to do that yet, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it based on what we've been doing so far. The Guardian are very interested in getting involved in a mission to do what I said earlier, to what Eric Schmidt said last year in the McTaggart lecture. This country invented all this stuff, and Tim Berners-Lee invented all this. And what always happens in this country, we invent stuff, then other people overtake us, right? Now, the point is we need to get this back. This country needs to understand these skills, and it's possible. So the Guardian want to partner with us to do that. And we've been invited to do pop-ups in Shanghai, Singapore, San Francisco, Cape Town, somewhere else I've forgotten. Because, as I say, we're the only people in the world doing this as we do it right now. If I want to scare an ad agency, the way to scare an ad agency is to tell them that their clients are doing it, right? Because ad agencies don't ever want to do anything, right? They're the laziest people in the world. So if you say your clients are doing it, they go, oh, shit, we better do it, right? So I like to end with this by saying Unilever are doing it. So are eBay, Paddy Power, TalkTalk, The Guardian, Facebook, Microsoft, Barclaycard, BBC, Spotify. It's always something that Google are coming doing it. So lots of clients are coming doing it. But actually, I don't want to scare ad agencies. I like ad agencies. And there's too much stress anyway. So the main reason for doing it is this. You'll make cool stuff and you'll have fun. So that's the end of the talk. Thank you very much.
Does anybody have any questions? Oh, yeah. Actually, yeah, good point, Steve. How much does it cost?
How much? Well, we try. Well, for companies, we try and do it in groups of 10. Yeah, which is 6,000 plus VAT for 10. For individuals, it's 650 for a day. That does equate with business training, average rates of business training, right? In a day.
Hi, Steve. Just wanted to check where these training sessions are made available.
Where?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you go on the website at the minute, we've got a space. It's great. You guys will notice as a startup, there's a big difference when you finally get your own space, yeah? So we were renting other properties like penthouse. We do it in a very nice space. Again, the whole thing is about, this isn't about a strip-lit basement, you know, and benches. This is, you know, nice big sofas, nice food, nice coffee, croissants, yeah, because, you know, this needs to be nice. So we've got a very nice former fashion showroom in Shepherdess Walk near Old Street Tube. That's where we do it at the minute, yeah.
Is it the same price for a start?
It is at the minute. Well, I'll tell you what I wanted to do, what we tried to do was to increase, what makes the price high is the ratio of 10 people to 2 trainers, yeah? Now, that's why we're introducing Culture Shift, which will be like for 20 or 30 people or 50 people, it won't be as hands-on. That's the thing. You all know as startups, pricing is about, you know, you want to keep it low because you want to bring people in. So we also experimented with bringing 15 people in instead of 10 on Saturdays. We couldn't get the numbers. I mean, if we get the numbers, then that's what I wanted to do, to make that about students, startups, you know, people not in corporates, yeah, for exactly that reason. So just have a look on the website, get in touch, you know. Yeah.
So, hi Steve, my name's James. I love the idea, brilliant business idea. Every single person I've worked with in marketing for the last 20 years needs to go on your course. It's absolutely fantastic. I think you might have answered my question, but it was a question about the online version of your course.
Yeah.
I've got 4 kids between the age of 5 and 15. I don't want any of them to leave school without doing your course. Is there a way that they can do that online? And actually, people like myself also doing it online?
Every time I give a talk like this, people come along like yourself and say, I've got my kids and I want them to do it. And I got into trouble on the first time I did it. I said, oh yeah, we can teach anyone from the age of 5. And then, I mean, I don't do the training. I mean, I develop the course, but I don't do the training. So I went back, spoke to the trainers, and unfortunately, there's all sorts of legal things you've got to be careful of with younger kids, the internet. We are going to be probably doing 12 up with the O2 Learn thing, yeah, age 12 and up, and that will be online. That should be up and running in September, yeah? But also, I mean, you know, we've got a couple of people working us now who answer all the emails and stuff, so I mean, any questions, just please email in, yeah? I mean, because I promised it at another talk like this, I think we have got to have a day with some kids, because I promised it to people, but yeah.
Thanks very much for your presentation. You said you asked why marketing is working so badly now. Could you expand on that?
Oh, God. Where do you want me to start? I mean,
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that myself, actually, Steve.
Okay, do you want to know, like, when I do another talk, which I gave here, Tom Crossley's not around.
He's upstairs.
So Tom got me in to talk about creativity, because that's my background. So there's a talk I give on that, and I asked the question, where I say, what's the return on investment on marketing in this country? Okay? Now, somebody gave me the answer to that about 4 years ago, and they swore me to secrecy, because they said I can't sustain that. But I've been telling everybody that figure, because I think it's such a shocking figure, right? So what do you think it is? For every pound spent on marketing in this country, what do you think the return on investment is? Well, it's got to be more than a pound to be worth doing, but it isn't. It's 56p, right? Now, so I've been given that figure, and then someone told me the other day that Google had been doing presentations to agencies, and they'd come up with the figure 49 pence in the pound, right? Now, if you don't believe either of those figures, I mean, I was just having lunch with someone today. What's the average period of time that marketing directors spend in their job? 22 months, right? What's the average amount of time an agency hangs on to an account? 2.5 years, yeah? I mean, this stuff, I mean, it doesn't work. It doesn't work because it's invisible. Most of the work that gets done, the previous speaker was talking about being engaging, yeah? And I think she said be unexpected and entertaining, yeah? And there's so little work that's unexpected. And so it becomes wallpaper, and it doesn't work. But that's a bigger topic than I'm here to talk about, and we can go on about it forever. But I mean, I just fundamentally believe it's a mess. I mean, if those figures are right, the marketing industry is a bigger financial scandal than the banks.
Can I just cut that microphone from the Marketing Agency Association? Please ignore a statement just made. No.
Listen, I believe in the potential of it. That's why I've spent so long in it. But I just think, the most 90% of the stuff that gets produced is invisible. Now, the stuff that works is fabulous. I mean, that's why I ran an agency for 15 years.
Steve, Henry, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.